Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. Reed is not here yet. He will be here momentarily, but we are joined by a very special guest from Cincinnati, the Bengals Captain. How are you doing tonight, sir? Thank you for joining us.
Doing great. Absolutely honored to be with you guys.
Thank you so much, sir, because we want to get a preview for tomorrow night's game, and I couldn't think of anyone better to go to than the Bengals Captain himself. And so I wanted to ask you, sir, this first round was like a big play for the Bengals, right? Because it was Penei Sewell was on the board possibly. That was like the go-to pick for everybody. But you guys went and got Joe Burrow's old boy, Jamar Chase, from LSU. So how has he looked so far, and do you think he'll play tomorrow night?
You know, so he'll definitely play. He played in the last game. He self-admitted that, you know, being off for a year, he declared out last season. And the speed of the game is obviously different. There are a lot of rookies who think, you know what, I can exist on my talent alone. He's got immense amounts of talent. We saw that in college. It didn't necessarily translate day one of camp. So a lot of reports came out that he was struggling. He could separate. That has since been fixed. He's looked phenomenal in camp. It didn't take long for him and Burrow to get their chemistry back. So he's fine. He's looking like the right pick. Thankfully, after correcting a few things in camp.
Right. Now you mentioned Joe Burrow, and coincidentally, he got injured against us last season, and he's not going to be playing in this preseason game. But the reports
we don't want that mojo. Yeah, I don't care what it was. We're not playing it against Washington.
Hey, I totally get it. Especially coming up for a team that dealt with injuries a prior year, but a couple years back. But
that D line's nasty. But you know that.
Yeah. Do you have any concern about Joe Burrow not really playing in the preseason? I know the reports where he was kind of looking kind of, I guess, shaky in the pocket and kind of shaky in practice, kind of coming back from the injury. So, like I said, do you have any concerns going into the season, and how do you think he'll fare throughout the season?
No concerns at all. He admitted it. If he didn't admit it, if he wasn't so self-aware, maybe I would be concerned. But you know, he just said, hey, he had how many months off, you know, rehab. He couldn't touch a football. He asked for people to be around him in the pocket. So they had coaches just in the pocket messing with him just to get that feeling back. And finally he said, you know what? I think he said 10 practices. He needed 10 practices to get back. He's like, I'm 100%. I'm back. I've got it all back. So everybody says the same thing. He looks like the confident Joe Burrow that everybody came to know last season. So, you know, he kept building on every game. Really, he looked good against Washington until the injury. He looked like a completely different player from his first game opening the season against the Chargers. So we expect that he'll continue to improve and be the guy that we saw at LSU.
Yeah, hopefully so, and that's good to hear about Joe Burrow because I do root for the guy, definitely. Because the Bengals is one of those teams I really don't think deserves all the criticism that they do get. I feel like you're in the same boat as us sometimes. But regardless, one player that has left your squad and has come over to Washington is William Jackson III. So from your point of view, what did the Bengals lose by letting William Jackson III go in free agency, and what did Washington gain?
You know, I think we lost his high ceiling. You know, I feel horrible that he said anything about any of the fans. You know, hey, stadiums can get nasty. I have never heard anything but love for the man. But, you know, apparently, you know, hey, social media, everybody's a keyboard warrior. They're not afraid to say whatever. But, you know, his best games were phenomenal. You know, his movement, his speed, you know, he is a lockdown corner at the top of his game. We've had some, you know, changes in defensive coaching and different philosophies, technique. So, you know what? He gets in Washington, he could have a little bit of a resurrection because, you know, Bengals fans were immediately when he went after Bengals fans, they were bringing up some of the film where he got burnt here and there. But you know what? It happens. It could just be technique. How's he been looking in camp?
It hasn't been as glamorous as everyone was expecting, coming in and just locking down everybody. In practice with one-on-ones, you know how it is, Captain, where
oh yeah.
You sometimes, the video shows you getting beaten, and he actually said in training camp on a video, he said, "Why don't you show the play where I picked the ball? Why do you always got to show the ones where I'm getting beat?"
Exactly. You guys have some studs at wide receiver too, so
that's a very good point. You can't hate on William Jackson all that much, but the fact is, they're using him in that new defense, right? And so, but like, do you think that he has a good legacy with Cincinnati?
I think he will.
Okay.
A lot has went on, with the turnover from Marvin Lewis to Zac Taylor, some changes that some of the old squad didn't like, whether it's just they missed Lewis, they didn't like Taylor, some of the philosophy, you get people talking. He was in that mix with some of the people talking. I really think, we did appreciate his time in Cincy. He made some great plays for us. I think his first pick was against Aaron Rodgers. I'm pretty sure. And just, phenomenal times, great highlights, good memories. And we'll get over it. We'll move on. We're a little bitter still, but we'll move on.
No, I totally get that. I'm glad you brought up Zac Taylor because I was hearing, I was watching, I forget if it was ESPN or one of those shows, but they were saying, coaches that may be on the hot seat, and they had Zac Taylor on that list. And I kind of started thinking about it, the offense they were looking pretty good with Joe Burrow. Why would he be on the hot seat? So how do the fans and you kind of view Zac Taylor? Because he never really gets talked about in the national media like that.
It's tough. You can browse through Twitter. I post something great with Zach. I'll get a handful of support. I'll get a handful of people hating me, and inevitably people unfollow.
Sounds like Twitter. Like Twitter.
Exactly. It happens. But what I see in Zach is an extremely intelligent man. His pressers, he knows what he's talking about. He has obviously a grasp of the game. I like the coach speak, and I'm in the minority, but you know what? The press and the fans don't need to know every single thing because the opponent's watching too. They're listening for help too. So, how he handles post-game pressers, how he's handled some of the adversity, and he's tried to keep that locker room tight. There have been some people who have strayed from that and said things, and it's pretty much been the minority, very, very small and vocal minority. I really think he's finally got the team that he wants. There are I think there's just the one player Bates on defense from, the Marvin Lewis days. And
Geno Atkins is still there, right?
No.
Geno left? Man, where did he go?
You know what? Did he get signed by the Cardinals?
Hall and I were just talking about this before we started. We were like, wait, Geno Atkins, he's still there, right?
You know what? I'm going to cheat and type just because we were all hoping that, although 2 days ago, unsigned veterans, he's still unsigned.
Oh, wow.
So wow. I swore I must have been reading something else, but he was talking about
signing with Arizona.
Going somewhere for a visit, and it came out about his rotator cuff, which plagued him.
Okay.
He wanted to see the field. He wasn't healthy enough, which I appreciate that in a competitor, but so we've got a lot of turnover. We finally got guys that Zach wants, and that is, leaders on their respective football teams in college. Guys who are going to be high motor, nonstop footballers, the guys that we all want on our teams. He's trying to get smart, intelligent football players who can, understand their role in a play and not mess everything up. So he's got that now. Absolutely. He's on the hot seat. He knew he was on the hot seat last year. I know, I won't say how I know, but he wasn't sure he'd be brought back.
Wow, really?
Yeah. He was not sure. And he still fought for every single game. He still kept that locker room close, even though he had his doubts until they finally said, absolutely, you're safe. This year, he knows it. He knows the expectation is they need more than 4 wins, a lot more.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And one former guest of ours, being Jackson Carman, was selected in the 2nd round by you guys, and he was a tackle, a left tackle for Trevor Lawrence in college at Clemson, but now it looks like he's playing at guard, and I read some things that he could possibly be starting this season. What unit do you expect to see Jackson Carman with tomorrow, and do you expect to have him starting come week 1?
I'm hopeful for him. I'm absolutely hopeful. He has been spending some time after practice, after everybody's left. I mean, searing heat. It's been humid, Cincy. It's been gross. He's been spending extra time with Frank Pollock, our new old offensive line coach. Thank goodness he came back, and he wants to get things right. So the word is that he might not have been 100% prepared for the rigors of NFL, which again, I hear that a lot. That's not uncommon. He's getting a lot of the light on him because of the Sewell debate.
Yeah,
right.
And then with all the other offensive linemen available, when we traded back and then picked him, there are a few people out there, well, why him? So he's going to have extra scrutiny, but he's answering that by putting in extra work. That's exactly what we want to see out of our guys. He's got the talent to start when the season opens. The job's his to be able to win, but right now he's probably back up.
Yeah, I've heard that your offensive line coach is like an old school kind of guy where he thinks you should earn the responsibility of playing tackle rather than just giving it to somebody. I feel like I read a quote like that.
Yeah, you know what? He's said similar. Other coaches have said similar. There was a little bit of a dust up when that came out that, why? Oh, the depth chart. The very first depth chart of camp, which we all know is the most important one.
Right?
Bengals fans lost their minds. I mean, it's funny to talk to fans of other teams because we all see our fan base. We all see it. It's like, okay, relax. It's the first depth chart. Let the dude
unofficial.
Yeah. Let the dude get some reps. I mean, coaches will play with players. Yeah. They'll swap people just to see what they can get, what kind of reaction that they can get. He can win that job, but Houday Nation lost their minds. They're like, oh, we wasted the 2nd round pick. This guy's worthless, blah, blah, blah. No, he's got plenty of time. He's got to earn it. Like other coaches have said, you don't want to set that precedent that, oh, well, he's a high round draft pick, so hand him the keys to the Lambo. No, you want to prove to your guys, I've got your back until someone beats you out of your position. We're going to be fair.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, Ron Rivera's the same way. He wants to preach competition. So definitely get that. And a guy that's been a stud for you guys over the past couple of years has been running back Joe Mixon. I know he only played 6 games last year due to injuries. And, hey, there he is. That's my guy in fantasy too.
Money Mixon.
I love Joe Mixon in fantasy. He's been a stud for you guys. How's he look during camp, and do you think he can have a bounce back year after only playing 6 games last year?
I guarantee he's going to have a bounce back year. He's going to lead the AFC North. I almost said AFC. He might AFC, but AFC North. I will say AFC North. He will lead in rushing.
Ooh, really?
And that's over Chubb. So
I like that.
He looks great. You know what? He's in better shape than he's ever been. He's healthy. He's happy. And really, the last time that he led the division in rushing, he led the AFC in rushing, it was Frank Pollock. Frank Pollock was the offensive line coach. He was doing stuff with that line, getting those guys working as a unit. And we had less talent on that line than we do now. So Mixon's ready to eat. It's also been said that for you fantasy players, he's going to be 3 down back. We no longer have Gio Bernard.
Yep.
And a lot of times it's frustrating to the fans in the stands. as much as we love Geno, Mixon's got a hot hand. He can be a threat in the passing game, but he comes out because Gio was one of the best blockers as a running back I've ever seen.
Really?
Well, now Mixon's going to be a 3-down back, so he's going to have a lot more touches, a lot more opportunities to score points.
Wow, I did not expect that, to be perfectly honest. But Captain, like you said before, we know our fan base. So who is a kind of at the bottom of the depth chart kind of guy that is a fan favorite that Washington fans should be looking out for to possibly make a play or two tomorrow night?
Right now, Darius Hodge.
Darius Hodge. Where does he play?
He's defensive line.
Ooh.
And he has been an absolute, he's been a beast in camp. And they kept calling. He had 1.5 sacks in the first preseason game. He looked great. Once again, high motor, powerful, got to the QB, disrupted in the backfield. Look for Hodge's name to get called quite a bit.
Which unit do you see him working with? I'm trying to match him up on who we be playing with that unit. Do you know if he's playing with the second or third?
I'm hoping second.
Okay.
What was it? The camp yesterday, they pulled him, I think dehydration.
Oh.
If I recall, they gave him a rest day. Don't quote me on that, but I think the expectation is still, get him out there at very least with the twos.
Okay, well, good. And then we're going to have some interior guys that are really going to get some good work against him, like Sadiq Charles and stuff. So it's very good to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, I like speaking of like good work and like matchups and stuff, I like to watch our linebacker core because we took Jamin Davis at number 19 at linebacker this year. That was kind of the weakness of our strong defense last year. That was our weakness of the defense. So I kind of like to watch them, like to watch what they do in the passing game and the run game. So, and the tight ends have been like a killer for the Washington football team over decades now. We've just been getting killed by everyone's tight end, every team. So who are some of the tight ends for the Bengals, and who we should be watching on tomorrow's game?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Wide receivers and running backs stole the show the first preseason. I've been a big fan of Thaddeus Moss.
We know that name.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looked good in camp. He's been healthy.
Wow.
He's looked good. He's got that rapport with Burrow. He's absolutely made some plays. So, he's going to be somebody to look for. There's a really tough battle for that third tight end position in Cincinnati. And, his name gets tossed in there, quite a bit. But Drew Sample, they're going to try to work him in the passing game a little bit more this season. Every Bengals fan remembers a disappointing drop. It ended up being a fumble recovered by the other team right in the corner of the end zone. Would have been a great catch. A lot of fans remember that. He will bounce back. So, again, just getting the guys in the right place, getting guys with a little bit more experience in the offense, understanding the scheme, the responsibility. Sample's going to be basically a breakout tight end for the Bengals this year. CJ Uzomah was out last year, very athletic. So, as a 2 trying to compete for a number 1, he's going to be a guy to watch for too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's funny too. He's a good dude.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Now, to wrap this up, Captain, my last question for you. Now, we're in the second year with your franchise quarterback, number 1 overall pick in Joe Burrow. And the division is looking like a very tough one. The Browns have done a very good job in the offseason. The Steelers coming off one of the best defensive teams that they've had in a pretty long while in recent memory. And then the Ravens are the Ravens, consistent as taxes. So, as the Bengals, what are your expectations for this season? Is it knowing that 4th spot, or are you guys really thinking you can go up and climb to get to 1?
We're thinking we're going to climb.
Okay.
All the pieces are together finally. The process has worked its way through. Hey, I'll use the excuse. We've had horrible injury luck for 4 years.
I know what that's like.
But but teams don't have 5 in a row. I'm knocking on wood right now. Doesn't happen 5 in a row. So this year we're going to at least be middle pack, which is going to be good enough with the talent on our team. We're going to surprise some people. 10-7.
10-7.
Ooh,
That's a
like
great
it.
prediction for you guys.
I like it.
Captain, I can't thank you enough for joining us, sir, and giving us some insight and a highlight into looking into the Bengals for tomorrow night with the Washington football team, their second preseason matchup. I can't thank you enough for joining us, sir. If you want, just give us a plug on where fans can possibly find you and on social media.
Hey, I am Bengals Captain everywhere you can find, including OnlyFans. It's empty though. There's nothing.
But only till October. Only till October.
Exactly. But seriously, I had to do it. Bengals Captain everywhere you find me. And hey, you guys take care of the Fitz magic for us.
Yeah, that beard. You guys are rocking beards, dude. I don't know what's better, your beard or your outfit.
Right.
It's got to be the outfit.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with you there. Captain, you have a great night, sir. I hope everyone
appreciate you.
Stays healthy tomorrow night. Have a great one, sir.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
Too.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Hey, that was fantastic. We just spoke with the captain from the Bengals. How awesome is that to be able to talk with another fan?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love how he brought up, like, everyone, we know our fan base. Everyone's kind of like crazy with it. And I'm just sitting there like, man, if you only knew about Washington football Twitter, man.
If you only knew, we are just alike. But like, I do feel bad for them in a way because of that division and the way everything's like, because that's been a very tough division, barring the Browns, obviously. But over the past 10 to 15 years, I mean, the Ravens and Steelers have been literally the two guys just fighting for that spot. And so it's good to see them trying to work their way back. Look, the second year under Joe Burrow, it's going to be big. So we're going to continue previewing this game for tomorrow night. We're going to have Josh Taylor joining us here very, very shortly. But before then, why don't we talk about our fan questions? And the first one we have is none other than the Colonel. And he wants to know, Hall, this is about the name change, the rebrand of the Washington football team. He asks, are we really down to just 3 names?
I don't know. I go back and forth this. I feel like they already have the name picked out, and they're just kind of doing like the whole like draw out the spiel and like making the brand thing for the fans to get the fans talking about it. I was literally just watching ESPN a little bit ago before we started recording, watching Jalen and Jacoby, and that was one of their topics on the show, which is there was like out of these 8 names, like they narrowed down to 3. Which ones do you like? Blah 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 blah. Like NFL Network was talking about it. So props to like Jason Wright. Everybody working on the name, the whole social media for definitely putting it out there like that and getting the word out, because it's been like a fire blaze trailing through all of the networks, all the social media. But I'll go with Jason Wright's word and say yes. So down to 3. And I don't think it's a 3. I think maybe one of the 2 of the names are from that list of 8 names, but I wouldn't say that, like he said on Twitter, I wouldn't say that the names are definitely in that list of 8. But I do think they're down to at least 3.
Yeah, and look, I've been able to interact with Jason, been able to watch how he conducts himself over the past year with this rebrand, and Jason is not one to be malicious. He's not one to be sneaky or to lie to folks. I truly do believe, Colonel, that it is down to 3, but we do not know truly what the 3 are. We don't. And that's kind of their ace up their sleeve. They can talk about how many there are left, but you have no idea what those names are, because what are the chances that it's a name that nobody has brought up at all? Yep. It's a big chance that is possible. Everyone is just hypothetically thinking these would be good fits. This has to be what the name could be. And that's what CBS did. And it sucks the way they did that, because they framed it like that was supplied, like these were the names, the 8 names that they trimmed it down, and which wasn't correct. Jason went on Twitter today and reiterated and make sure that everyone knows that NFL on CBS report on Facebook was incorrect. Wasn't true. But they are down to 3. Without a doubt, I do think they're down to 3. I just don't know which, man. I really don't. And I don't mind what the name is. I don't want to howl. That's it. Really, I've said this before. I don't think it's going to be an animal. I don't think it's going to be military themed. I think it could be something third party, forceful, strong, that really checks all the boxes for everybody. And look, there's going to be people pissed off about it, but look, it is what it is. Like you said, Hall, they're doing a good job with it by spreading it out. I said it, a month ago. This is how it was going to be after they eliminated Warriors. Slowly over time, they're going to keep chipping away that block, chipping away until we get to January. It's going to happen. Yep.
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
Colonel's next question for us is, are we satisfied with the linebacking core, Hall? What is your percentage of the chances of them picking up an aging but serviceable and solid veteran for that spot?
I'll go 30%, only for the simple fact of Ron Rivera actually just told the story about Jeremy Reeves and how he was having a great camp last year, and he really loved what he was doing. And he told him, look, we're going to cut you, but we're going to bring you back for the practice squad. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep on fighting. Keep grinding. Your chance will come. Lo and behold, what happened? Landon Collins goes down. Everyone was saying, Eric Reed, Eric Reed, Eric Reed. Made the most sense. He played for Ron Rivera. He knew the system. Was still a pretty good player at his position. He said, look, I'm a man of my word. I'm going to stick to my word. I'm going to give Jeremy Reeves a shot. And Jeremy Reeves came in and balled out, did his thing. So I do think that he's going to give guys like Khalid Hudson. He's going to let guys like Cole Holcomb kind of come into his own. He's going to let Jamin Davis develop. John Bostic is kind of like the savvy vet in the locker room for us as far as linebacker goes. So if a kind of like middle of the pack, like maybe like a little bit above average linebacker gets cut from a team and they feel like maybe he can come and contribute, possibly. But like I said, I fully believe that Ron told the younger guys and told the guys, like, look, if you work your butt off and you work your tail off, I'll give you a shot. And I think he's going to give one of those guys a shot.
Yeah, look, I'm going to try to frame this the best way that I can, Colonel. But the way that I view our linebacking core is a lot like how the Green Bay front office viewed their wide receiver position. Because am I concerned? Like, am I satisfied? Of course, with the linebacking core, because I think they did enough by getting Jamin Davis. They have Cole Holcomb here. Khalid Hudson's on his way up. I think that they have some guys there that they can plug in and do well. I really do. I trust it, especially with John Bostic there. The injuries is what the concern is. But the reason why I say the Green Bay Packers with the wide receiver position is because Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio being former linebackers, they're going to be able to elevate that unit. And so, same way with Aaron Rodgers with his wide receivers. So, it's okay if you have Jags in there because you know that quarterback, that head coach, that positional coach, Jack Del Rio and Ron, are going to be able to elevate those guys to play to a higher standard. So, if I was going to be able to bump up stock in other positions where I don't have that kind of tunage, I'd rather we be paying money and mortgaging more into those positions than linebacker when we know we can elevate the guys that we have. So I definitely I am satisfied with it. The percentage of us bringing in a solid vet, I would probably say 30%, just like to your point that you said about Jeremy Reeves in last season. Telling the guys that they can do it, they can do it. Look, Jeremy had a great training camp last season. That's why Ron said that to him. I'm not sure if these other linebackers are having a great camp. I haven't heard much about them.
Right.
Kyle Jenizik, I think, is the other linebacker that is there as well. Jared Norris, I think, is another one. Haven't really heard all that much about them, Colonel, to be perfectly honest. Now, our next question is from our guy Mark Baxter, who put this into the Discord chat server for all of our VIP fans. He wants to know, Hall, who do you think are some surprise cut candidates?
Well, just talked about him. I think Jeremy Reeves might be like towing the line right now. I think it'll be the same as last year. You're going to tell him again, look, we want to keep you. We're kind of stocked full at the safety position right now. We'll put you on the practice squad. Keep grinding, keep doing your thing. You'll work your way up eventually, most likely. 17-game season. Someone's bound to get hurt at some point. Knock on wood, obviously. But, yeah, I would go Jeremy Reeves and maybe – I can't think of it on top of my head, so I'll just stick with Jeremy Reeves.
Just Jeremy Reeves?
Yeah.
That's a great one, dude, because I love Jeremy. I really do. And that would be a crazy surprise cut. But if I'm really gonna put anywhere, I'll probably put DeShazier Everett. Only because I've heard good things about Derek Forrest as a special teamer. I know DeShazier is a great special teams captain, but that can always be replicated. Don't know how much say Nate Kaiser has into the say on who's going to be the captain, who's going to stay, but I would definitely see DeShazier Everett being the surprise cut. Now, we are joined for the first time ever by Josh Taylor of the Burgundy Network podcast. How are you doing, Josh?
Hey, what's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, sir. You sound great. You sound
awesome.
great. Now, we just answered a question from one of our fans, Mark Baxter, so I want to bounce it off you, obviously, because hearing your intellect and knowing what you know about the team, I want to know your opinion. Who do you think a surprise cut candidate could be?
I didn't really hear who you all are talking about, but I've been saying for a while now I think it could be DeShazier Everett, especially being that vet guy just because the DB room's getting packed now. You got these young guys. We see the thing about Jeremy Reeves coming out, how much Ron loves him and how confident he is in his abilities. So don't be surprised if he's that Adrian Peterson cut this year to be that one vet that's left out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we talked about Twitter the other day, Josh. Kyle Allen Tomorrow night starting. Earlier today, you said on Twitter he's the number 2 quarterback. Did I hear you correctly?
He's number 2 quarterback. I'm telling you, I really firmly believe he could be. Now, going into the season, it probably will be Taylor Heineke because Kyle Allen is hurt. We don't know what's going to happen with that. But the fact that we get to see him play tomorrow, I'm excited to finally see him on the field. It's not that I have anything against Taylor Heineke. I think I need to address that. You can like one guy without putting another guy down. Just like Landon Collins. So many people love Cameron Curl, and I love Cameron Curl. But it led to so many people hating Landon Collins because they liked Cam Curl. They had to talk themselves into hating Landon Collins. And now it looks like Landon's going to be one of the better defenders this year, finally coming back healthy. He stood out in camp. He's been my MVP if we're going to have one for training camp. So you can hype a guy up. You can like a guy without diminishing another player on the team. And to me, Kyle Allen's that guy that I like. That's Ron's guy. It's why we traded a 5th round pick for him. And people are going to talk about what he did with the Panthers and stuff like that. And I could bring up how he was in college. There's so much you could go into it. But from what I saw from that sample before he got hurt, I think he has a better skill set than Taylor Heineke. And a lot of people are going to hate that I said that.
Yeah, no, I do definitely agree with you because that's what I was responding to Mark about. Because Mark had uploaded a video of Jordan Love making one pass and saying how that's the mechanics you need to do to be able to make a throw like that, picking apart one of Taylor's throws. And look, I'm all about it. I get it. Critique. We're supposed to be. We're fans. We're fanatics. It's what we do. But using Jordan Love as an example to show that Taylor's not making a good throw is not a good look in my opinion. That's why I was saying, dude, show him some more respect. Like you said, there's no reason to trash a dude just because maybe you're trying to prove a point that he is the number 3 quarterback on the roster. To your point, but yes, that is a great point. I like that. But let's keep this. Go.
Right. Well, I'm about to say Kurt Warner had a terrible throw. No one ever talked about his little sidearm that he always throws. So whatever gets the job done, I don't care if he's throwing an underhand. Shoot, Patrick Mahomes does little no-look passes and it blows up. So as long as you get the job done, I don't care how you throw the ball.
And Josh, if I want to ask you a question, we just answered this before you hopped on, but the Colonel asked us a question. Is it really possible that we're down to 3 names?
Oh, yeah. I firmly believe that. I'm not going to act like I know anything because I don't, but just from the people that I've talked to and just from what I've been around and then all the videos that come out, you kind of break everything down. And I've been telling people, football team is not an option at all. And for some reason, people still believe. Could you imagine we do all this, we hire all these people, we go through this whole process just for Jason to come out and say, hey, you know what, we're just going to stay a football team, guys. We after everything that we did, we've come to the conclusion that that's the name. Right. No, there is no way that that's going to be the final name. I think it's down to Wolves or Red Wolves. I'll put them in the same category. Commanders, and then I could see maybe Monuments or something like that, or the Defenders was the other one. Yeah. But I don't know if The Rock, because he owns the XFL now, I don't know if you would, release that name to Washington because it is owned by, the DC team. So but if I had to pick 2, I think it is Commanders and Wolves. I think that's the obvious 2. I think it's coming to the surface for a reason. When there's smoke, there's fire. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And the one quote from Jason that I keep always thinking about with this name change is that we want to unveil it in a way that you guys deserve. And what I keep thinking is that the name is not on that list, in my personal opinion. I feel like they're playing that card strategically, and they're doing it for that reason because, just like you said with football team, we're doing all of this, and everyone has these opinions about all the names being submitted and what's being uploaded. And so then out of left field, come January, they can hit you with a brand new one that no one's ever talked about, and you're like, holy crap, what? And that's what I could kind of expect from them.
This could be a decoy of getting feedback from the fan base. All these names come out. This is the list of 8. Jason's he's been talking to us on Twitter. Jason, if you're watching this, this could be part of your strategy. You see how people are reacting to that list of 8 names, saying which ones they like, saying which ones they're not too fond of. So it could be you're right about that. It could be all strategy to where the front office is just dropping this little bait and seeing how we react as fans.
Right. Yeah. Hey, so Josh, I'm going to start with you, Bahal, right afterwards. I want to ask you the same question. Let's preview the game for tomorrow night. If there's one player, Josh, that you have to say needs a huge night to be able to cement himself on the 53, who needs to play well tomorrow night?
I will say it's my Virginia boy, Antonio Gandy-Golden. Harmon's gone. You have no excuses. I think Cam Sims is a lock. I don't know if they keep 6 or 7 wide receivers, but if you're AGG, like you're on the outside looking in right now, like you need to step up and be like, okay, this is the kind of player you're drafted in the 4th round for a reason. I can be this, productive wide receiver. I've been riding him as long as possible, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, AGG, like I've got nothing to back up my argument for you. So I want him to give me personally something so I can be like, yep, he belongs to be here. Because right now I'm more willing to keep DeAndre Carter, Dax Milne, or Steven Sims to improve our special teams than I am AGG, and that's kind of sad to say.
Yeah, look, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm 100% with you. When I was on Wole's pod the other night, they asked the same question, and mine was, the first one was Kyle Allen, and the reason why I was saying that was because of the injury. Like, he needs a huge game tomorrow night to prove and convince Teron and company that he deserves a spot on the 53, because if he's coming back from that injury, they could easily put him on the practice squad come week 1. So if he wants to be able to be on the roster on the 53 because of how many great players are on the bubble, there are. They're going to possibly be getting cut, and they're going to be thinking, should we keep 3 quarterbacks with all of these positional guys there with possibility of having great futures? And I think tomorrow night, Kyle Allen's the guy who needs to have a great game for them to say, okay, we're going to keep that roster spot open for you. What about
Steven Montez, he actually looked really good the first game too. Like, I know it's against threes. I'm not going to put any weight on it, but he showed me, he is athletic. He can make some plays. So out of what I need to see out of Montez, he showed up. So, yeah, pressure's on Allen. You're right.
That 2-minute drill was great by Steven Montez. It really was. Yeah, it was. What about you, Hall? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2 guys we just talked about with who could be the surprise cut come the 53-man roster. And I know you said who could like one player, but I'll go between DeShazer Everett and Jeremy Reeves just because of, like you guys said before, the DB room's getting filled up. You got Bobby McCain, Cam Curl, Landon Collins. Who's going to be that 4th guy? Is it going to be Jeremy Reeves? Going to be DeShazer Everett? Like you said, DeShazer Everett has kind of the upper hand because he's a special teams captain. But at the same time, Ron's always talking about Jeremy Reeves. He loves Jeremy Reeves, loves what he brings to the table, love how he loves his grit, loves all the work that he puts in. So I think whichever one between them has a better game will be locked in for this 53-man roster.
I got you. I'm right there with you. Josh, let's go to our next question here, if you got the time, if you're cool with that. It's from our guy, Tony Shivers. He wants to know, Eric Flowers, has been running with the ones at left guard lately. Do y'all think he's going to be the front runner for that spot come week 1?
That's the battle I'm most interested in, because the first drive Flowers was in, second drive Wes Schweitzer was in. So they both ran with the ones in the first preseason game. That's one of the things I have on notes to watch for tomorrow night, is to see how the offensive line really, spans out. And Sadiq Charles had the most snaps out of any offensive lineman. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on him at left tackles where they had him. But I think Eric Flowers does start. And, I love how Wes looks. I feel like they're really close together. But I'm giving the nod to Eric Flowers because of how he looked with us before. That's the kind of Flowers I'm expecting. He looked good when he went to Miami too. It's not like he looked bad and they just sent him away. It's just the cards fell to where he'd come back to Washington, and I was glad.
It was 2 different scenarios, right? Because with Washington, it was like, we're not going to get anything with this guy. He's terrible. But with Miami, he's coming off a big contract, a free agent signing, big expectations. Eric coming into here, it's the same type of thing where we're really not expecting much. Maybe he does blow their lid off. And I do believe that Eric Flowers could get that number 1. Tony, it depends a lot with tomorrow night, like Josh said, with the ones. Who dominates? Because I think the one thing with Wes last season was his pass blocking was not all that great. He was a good run blocker, but I think his pass blocking was a little bit bad. So if Eric Flowers with the longer arms is better suited for pass blocking and is similar with the run blocking, I could see Eric Flowers getting that with the ones, definitely. He's a big boy, and he's one of those guys that's very – when he walks off the bus, it's like, oh, God, he's huge. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it's going to come down to tomorrow night between who plays better with the ones, who has the better game overall. But I will go that I think Eric Flowers does get the job. I think that they know what they have in Wes Schweitzer coming off of last year. And I think that with them bringing in Eric Flowers as a free agent, they saw what he did with us prior, saw what he did down in Miami. And I think that they still have a lot of potential to unlock within him. And I think that also with him coming in at that first year, having like pretty much no reps with Cornelius Lucas and pretty much playing lights out throughout the whole season, I feel like he can step in and play lights out next to Charles Leno as well.
Yeah, I feel like Cornelius Lucas continues to be forgotten about. It's like the one, like he played really well for us left tackle. We make one change with Sam Cosmi and Charles Leno, and everyone forgets about the guy. It's unfortunate. And the one thing,
but we have depth finally, and that's something we've never had. It's always one man goes down, and then our line goes to complete garbage and throws off the whole season. So I'll take it. It's a win-win, like regardless of who starts, in my opinion. Like we have backups now.
Right. And one thing I wanted to say about Sadiq Charles, because Josh, you brought up the great point about him playing the most snaps out of any offensive lineman in that first preseason game, and that's genius by Ron Rivera. Last offseason, Sadiq Charles didn't have the offseason to be able to get the one-on-one reps, a lot of repetition, be able to have his first year. And with that injury, he lost a lot of time. So this is Rivera putting him basically in the DeLorean, tells him to go 73 miles an hour and go back to time and try to make up that time with all these extra snaps. Very smart for Rivera to do that, and I hope Sadiq continues that trend tomorrow because he definitely needs it. The next question for us is from Scott Hartley in the UK. Oi! He wants to know. He said, I know, Kyle, you have done your own mock 53-man roster. Who were your undrafted or rookies that made the 53, and who was the casualty? So I know that you guys probably can't off the top of your head, but Josh, if you could, is there any rookies that you would not leave on the 53 at the moment?
I mean, I see, like I said, Dax Milne's kind of like that one guy where I could see not making it. But, you know, Bradley King, Shaka Toney, both depth that we need at the edge spot, especially with Kerrigan gone. They make it. Obviously, Cheeseman. And then, of course, the others are staying. So I think Dax Milne's the one guy that might not. And I think Jared Patterson does make the roster, especially since he's kind of jumped Peyton Barber in practice with reps. That to me kind of says, like, Ron's inching him closer to that final 53 as we make some cuts. So Dax Milne, he might make it. If he returns more punts like he did in the first game, which is what I really want to see against Cincinnati, because he looked good. Like, he's never really returned punts before. He was just Zach Wilson's ultimate weapon that final year. But if he can do that, I think that'll catapult him into the 53 and push someone like Steve Sims out because he's a better receiver than Steve Sims.
I wholeheartedly agree. What I said on Twitter the other day, I've said this ever since I watched his film. I don't know what it is, but I just see a lot of Adam Thielen in his game, and I think that he could really cement himself on the 53 and be one of those unsung heroes late in the season with injuries, whatever have you, linking up with Ryan Fitzpatrick deep downfield because that's what he was doing with Zach Wilson. Now on my 53, Scott, who didn't make it? The guy I just talked about earlier with DeShazier Everett, Derek Forrest. I feel like he's one that could be on the practice squad, just simply because DeShazier Everett. There's so many safeties there at that moment. You don't know if they're going to keep Derek on the 53. They could most likely be able to stash him on the practice squad. We saw a lot of missed tackles on Friday, so hopefully he does a lot better with that. But besides that, I had everyone making the roster. One I will say is Will Bradley King could possibly make himself on the practice squad. You know, he's kind of that bigger set, more fit for like the 3-4 defensive end, kind of inside technique kind of guy. And with Matt Ioannidis coming back, with Tim Settle there as well, David Bada, I feel like he's better suited for practice squad, having James Smith-Williams, Casey Toohill, and Shaka Toney being your rotational edge rushers throughout the season. I definitely feel like Shaka could find himself in the practice squad.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Shaka on this practice squad as well. We had Ian Cummings on, and he said that he thinks that he fits like the more of the 3-4 outside linebacker kind of defense. And I think that they're going to stash him on the practice squad, kind of develop him into like that third down kind of situational guy. And eventually, maybe going into the next year, he might still be around. He might be able to produce kind of like Smith Williams that was drafted in the 7th round last year, kind of came on towards the end of last year. Now he's in – I know I messed up his name last
William
time.
Bradley?
Yeah. I don't know what I was reading on my notes.
Mitch's head almost exploded. He was like,
I know.
Who?
I know. Trust me. I was like, wait. I read back over my notes. I was like, what was I doing? But, yeah, I think it could be Shaka Toney. And just for the simple fact of he's kind of undersized, kind of needs to hone in more of his pass rushing skills. And I think he can do that in the practice squad.
Yeah, and sticking with you, Hall, Scott's last question for us. Which position group do you agonize the most over? Which one do you have the most anxiety about?
I'm not going to lie. It's kind of – I wasn't really thinking about this until Wizkins brought it up the other day. I'm going to go tight ends because say something happens, knock on wood, just like Logan Thomas – if you really look at the depth behind tight end, behind Logan Thomas, yeah, Ricky Seals-Jones, he's been around the league for a little bit, but can he be that number one guy? We don't know. You got a rookie in John Bates, and you got Hemingway, who in the first preseason game looked horrible, to say the least. But yeah. So, I definitely think the tight end kind of scares me. I have faith that Logan's going to come out here, have a bomb-ass year. Yeah. He's going to probably double what he did last year as far as, like, reception and productivity. But if something happens to him, he happens to go down with a little nick here and there, I don't know what they're going to do as far as, like, that middle of the field tight end to kind of open it up for everyone else.
Yeah, for me, Scott, I'm going to say corner off bat just because William Jackson III has not looked great. And, look, I'm not going to sit here and say – that he's going to be a shutdown corner. He's going to be butt this season. But I will say he had kind of a bad camp so far. I will say based off getting off a big contract. And if he goes down or Benji or Kendall goes down, that cornerback group is very, very thin behind those 3-4 guys with Jimmy Moreland. Behind that, it's a steep hill, dude. And that is something I am concerned about. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to say kicker. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
Yeah, we have no depth. No, I'm going to say linebacker. I love Cole Holcomb. I think he has a even better year. It seems like, these last 2 years he got better last year. I think he'll do it again this year. And I think Jamin's going to be fine. And Ron talked about like how many reps he wants Jamin Davis to have. And he threw out a big number. He said 5,000 until he should be comfortable as that middle linebacker role. And you really have to think about it. Like it sounds like a big number, but it's true. Like you're in charge of the defense as that Mike linebacker. You're doing everything. And I love, Bostic. He's that vet guy, but as we saw the first game, he's a liability in coverage and tackling. He's over pursuing. He's trying to be too aggressive, making those big plays, and guys are running past him. And he's like, oh man, I should have just, been a little bit more patient, and the play would have developed to me. So Ken Hudson, step up and be that will linebacker. I don't know. I'm really hoping he does. He was like that linebacker guy at Michigan. Better coverage. So I want him to really develop into that will. I don't want us to have to put Jamin Davis at a will just because that's what he plays well. I want him to stay at middle and just develop there. So I feel like that one spot, man, we every single year we get burned by tight ends. And it's going to happen again if John Bostic doesn't step up. I don't see it though.
No, I don't either. Look, what we would love to have is right now at the moment is if we could have like face off and take John Bostic's like brain and put it in Jamin Davis's body, then we're all set. We're ready to, Yep, we're ready to go, dude. But our next question is from Tony Franchise, and he wants to know how much pressure is on Scott Turner this year, Josh, with play calling.
I would say not a lot, honestly, because I feel like the cards are in his hand because last year was so limited with Alex Smith. I feel like he's going to do so much more this year. And then he has, obviously Curtis Samuel, who he's going to use in the backfield. He's going to put in the slide. He's going to put on the outside. We've already seen them do that with J.D. McKissick too, put them out at wide receiver. Same with Antonio Gibson. So I feel like there's no pressure. I feel like he can finally do what he wants to do. He has Logan Thomas, that tight end who can run longer routes than, what we're used to in the past. So I feel like everything's lined up for him. Now, some could say, oh, well, that means all the pressure's on him because he has all these tools. But I think based off of what we had last year with all these checkdowns with Alex Smith, I mean, J.D. McKissick being second in targets from running backs last year, that's terrible. That speaks. Alvin Kamara, like, being up there with him, like, in targets for a running back is not good when you're, have this spread Air Coryell offense.
Right.
So I feel like with everything we have now, Scott Turner's job got a lot easier. And now it's just on Fitzpatrick. That's who the pressure's on, is for him to make the plays and not the mistakes.
I do think there is some pressure. I do that you have a lot of great factual stuff in there, Josh. That makes a lot of sense, to be perfectly honest. But I do think there is a little bit of elevated pressure just based off the weapons that are now here. Because if they don't play to somewhat of a standard that the fans are holding them to, I do think that pressure will mount or whatever have you. But to your point, it's like having a chef who was working flipping grills on a grill in his backyard, started selling a bunch of burgers, and now has a brand new restaurant, all state-of-the-art cooking equipment, has all the food in the world to choose from, and he's going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, dude, I'm ready to work. I'm used to the little old girl with just burgers. I'm ready to get into this. And that's how I think Scott Turner's looking at this new revamped offense with new weapons at tight end, wide receiver, and running back. So I do think that Scott Turner, he has a little bit of pressure, but not a lot. I think that he's playing with house money at this point. What do you think, Hall?
Yeah, I said a month or so back that I think the pressure is on him. I'm not gonna go as far as to say like he's gonna like lose his job, but I think the pressure will be on him is like say by like week 5, week 6, if this offense has not like put up any like big number games, put up a lot of points, if the offense is looking like real vanilla like last year, they're not moving the ball out of 3-and-outs. I do think the pressure will rise and kind of mount on Scott Turner because, like you said, the weapons are here now. Antonio Gibson is in his second year. They got the offseason, OTAs, training camp, all that. Everyone's been saying he's been looking great. Everyone's looking to see him in the passing game more this year. You got J.D. McKissick coming back, Curtis Samuel, who knows the offense. You got a guy like De'Ami Brown. There's like speed all over the board. So I think if the offense looks vanilla by like week 7, week 8, week 6, I do think the pressure will start to mount, and he'll hear those whispers, little chirps like, is Scott the right guy for this job, or should we bring someone else in?
Yeah, it's probably coming from his dad watching practice. Norv walking on practice, seeing all the time. But Hall, let me stick with you for this next question from Mike Puckett, asking about your favorite player. He wants to know, is this a make or break season for Antonio Gibson? Despite the record in play, do you give him one more year to prove he can be the back of our future? And basically, the context of this is he's saying like he knows that it's a watered down position away with like 2 running backs, but he's thinking about in a way like with Derrick Henry and like 300 carries a season type of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's make or break. I definitely think that Antonio Gibson's kind of growing into his role. You got to think that this is only literally his second year playing full-time running back, or going into his second year playing full-time running back. If you listen to everyone like that through camp, they've been saying he's been hitting his angles better. He's been reading the blocks better, been a lot more patient. He's been up in the passing game more. And I know he said that even going back to last year, kind of the knock on him was his pass blocking skills. And he's been working on that throughout camp. He's gotten a lot better at that. Maybe be that three down back that we know he can be. So I definitely don't think it's make or break, but again, I definitely think it's on Scott Turner to put him in positions on the outside, in the slot, in the run game, in the pass game to kind of extenuate and kind of show off the kind of the ability and skills that he does have.
Unfortunately for Antonio Gibson, it's the way that the league is right now. It is a make or break year. If Antonio Gibson has, let's say, a step back kind of year or gets injured, when you're going into year 3 with his contract as a running back, you're sitting here thinking, well, are we going to be re-signing this guy? Because what if we get great production out of these other running backs? Let's say Jarrett Patterson comes up and does really well. That's going to raise some questions in the future. It truly is. But I do think that Antonio Gibson's going to have a great year. And because of the fact that he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. Like you talked about Hall, he was used as a wide receiver in college. Didn't have to absorb a whole bunch of contact on every play. His body can't keep up for a long period of time. To your point, Mike Puckett, yes, Antonio Gibson is the running back of the future. And I would give him one more year. Without a doubt, I would. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. I think y'all nailed it. The one thing that impressed me the most about Gibson is, we saw him be that speed guy. It's what we expected that. But like Hall said, him being a third down back is huge.
Yeah.
Saying, 3rd and 2 or goal line, I can still run it in. You don't have to bring Peyton Barber in to be that bowling ball guy. He's just going to fall for a yard. So being that guy who can do it all, receiving, just running the ball. He's getting better at pass blocking. I'll say it. That improved throughout last season. But being able to take that rock on 3rd and short, that's huge. As long as that toe heals up, hopefully he's getting foot rubs after practice and getting that thing iced, because that running game, if he goes down this year, it's going to be looking a little suspect if that toe's not healed.
Yeah, and I want to stick this next question with you, and this is from our great questionnaire, Orange Crush 92, because you alluded to him earlier, Josh, about Steven Montez, and Orange Crush wants to know, is Steven Montez going to make the final roster? And who else should we be really paying attention to next game that might be getting cut soon?
I think it really depends on Allen if he is healthy. So that's why him playing tomorrow was great, because I feel like he's ready for it.
Yep.
I don't think Montez makes it. I think we run 2 quarterbacks on game day, which who knows? I think that's what it'll turn out to be. And then we'll have, Kyle Allen or whoever, Taylor Heineke being QB3
right.
At our back pocket. But I don't think he makes it. What was the second part of that question?
It was what player that we should be paying attention to tomorrow night that could be getting cut soon?
Like I said, AGG, if he just does nothing or he drops more catches. After watching that 2-point conversion again, he didn't complete it all the way. I know his knee was down and everything, but he fell to the ground and didn't complete. That was his one opportunity, and it's just he kind of let me down again. So I feel like AGG, if he doesn't step up, I mean, he doesn't need touchdowns or anything, but he needs big plays to show he can get separation. He can run routes. He can go up and get the big passes with that giant body he has and that catch radius. I need to see something out of him, or don't be surprised if he's one of the next guys cut, which would suck that we wasted a 4th one.
Right. No. I think you're right, Josh. Orange Crush, because I don't think Steven Montez is going to make this team regardless if Kyle Allen makes it or not. Maybe if everyone gets COVID, that's a good chance that he'll be playing. But the reason I say that is because of all the roster bubble guys. Let's say they don't keep Kyle. They're only going to want to keep 2 quarterbacks so they can keep another roster guy, another positional guy there. So, unfortunately, I don't think Steven Montez will be on the 53 week 1. I think he'll be on the practice squad ready to go at any time. A player that we should be paying attention to that could be getting cut for tomorrow night. Oh, what did I say? I had one, dude. I had one in the back of my head, and it completely flipped my mind. Oh, my goodness. Hall, go.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much hit the second part of the question.
Danny Johnson, the cornerback, who also returns punts. Just because of Torrey McTyer blowing out, he could be taking that Danny Johnson role. So I think Danny Johnson is somebody you got to pay attention to. He could have a big game and solidify that spot from Torrey. Sorry, Hall.
Yeah, no. To answer the second part of the question, I don't think that Montez is. I don't even think he'll be on the practice squad. I just think that there's too much. Yeah, I think there's too much depth, too many positions, too many talented guys that the coaches have likes to kind of they want to stash away.
Hard.
And
he's getting out completely.
I don't think that Montez even makes the squad or the practice squad. Answer the first part of that. Surprise player we should be looking for.
Well, not a surprise player, but a player we should watch for tomorrow night that could be getting cut.
I'll go DeAndre Carter. I think that the only way he makes his team is as a returner. So I think that he's going to have to kind of show the coaching staff that, hey, I don't really need to be on the team as far as like a wide receiver goes, but you need to keep me around as far as a kick returner, maybe punt returner. So, hey, I'll go DeAndre Carter.
So this next question is from a new fan called G, who reached out and wanted to ask a question for us. I really appreciate you, brother, because this is a really good one. And, Josh, I want to start it with you. Hypothetically, if Scott Turner would turn out to be Jay Gruden 2.0 as far as play calling, who would you consider to be a top option for us next season in replacing Scott Turner?
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, I would automatically go to, like, the head coaches that are probably going to get canned first. So like maybe like Nagy is like the top one that comes off the mind, really even though I don't think he's a good offensive coach, especially if, you can't win with Justin Fields and somehow kept Robinson around, who we all wanted. But we got Curtis Samuel, so we're good. So I would say probably a Nagy, and honestly, I would not be excited about it at all. But you got to look at those top head coaches that are on the hot seat this year. And he's one that stands out to me.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I want to stay in the building. I'm going to go Ken Zampese, only because he knows Ryan Fitzpatrick. And if they do have a great offensive year, you want to keep that mindset in the building. You don't want to have to adjust with a different coordinator. So promote from within, promote your quarterback's coach to then offensive coordinator and play caller. I think Ken Zampese can do it. He's a long-tenured coach, and he definitely has a respect to the guys to be able to do so.
Yeah, funny, we just had the Bengals captain on, and we talked about Zac Taylor. So I think if Zac Taylor gets fired, I think he'd be a good candidate because he's a pretty good offensive mind. He comes from that Sean McVay tree,
right?
And you know how the guys are kind of taking over the league as far as like head coaches, offensive coordinator guys. And another guy would be, say that Fitzpatrick has a mediocre year. They go to the draft, they draft a guy. I would look to some of these young college guys, some of these young college coordinators to kind of come in and maybe adapt to what the college quarterback or the rookie quarterback wants to do as far as going forward.
Yeah. Go get Joe Brady.
I don't know how. Yeah, Joe Brady as well. But I think it's funny you said that because it's funny because I think if Zac Taylor gets fired, Joe Brady will take the job in Cincinnati. Get that?
Oh yeah, Joe Burrow was like, please.
Yeah.
That would actually make a lot of sense, Hall.
Yeah.
Holsterdamus over here, dude. Yeah. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this episode. I want to thank you so much to Bengals captain. I can't thank you enough, sir. And then Josh, can't thank you enough for being able to come on to here, for be able to sit with us for 30 minutes. I know you got another show later tonight. I can't thank you enough. I know. I tried to pump this thing up WWE style to try to like brawl it out between Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke, but I'm not a very good actor apparently, and so we couldn't get it done. But I appreciate you coming on, dude, and being able to preview this Bengals game for us, dude. You did a great job.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. It's always a good time, regardless if it's practice or preseason. Get hype. It's our team.
Right.
There's no Heineke versus Kyle Allen. We're the same team. We're just trying to win some games, right?
And Josh, and look, and basically all of our fans know who you are, but just in case, where can people find you and your podcast and your podcast from tonight? Where they can find and listen?
Yep. So at Josh Taylor WFT, for like Washington Football Team on Twitter, and then I almost said the other one. And then the podcast is at Berg Network Pod on Twitter, and then Believe actually reached out to me and 2 other guys to start a college football podcast. So that's what we have our second episode tonight, and that's called College Football Unfiltered. So at CFB Unfiltered. Looking forward to it. It's football season, so we got NFL and college. Kyle, I enjoy your breakdowns come draft time. Definitely peep those and get some good nuggets. So thank you for those.
Of course, dude. I can't thank you enough for joining us. I want to say thank you to everyone. Tony Franchise, Tony with an I, Scott Hartley, Oi, Mike Puckett, Orange Crush G. Thank you to Colonel, Mark Baxter, and Tony Shivers. I can't thank you guys enough. You are amazing. We couldn't do it without you guys. All right, I'm Kyle.
I'm about to go double dip and hop on Let Maul Tell It. So make y'all check that out later too.
Hey, my man, Maul. All right, everybody. Enjoy tomorrow night. I hope everyone is healthy. Everyone, please be safe at FedEx Field. Drive safe. Be loud. Make sure we get that home presence back. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week on Tuesday. Washington football. Hey. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!